So now that it's springtime, it's time to get in the car and go to a much further destination than where I've been to previously. And as you can see, it's been quite wintry here. We've had about 10 centimetres of snow, but where we're going, we'll have even more. So the first leg of our journey is a short drive to Aberdeen Airport. We're heading to a car park which is known as Air Parks Express. This is a brand new car park which has been opened up since the pandemic. You book in advance, you drive up to the gate, it recognises your vehicle registration number, and you do the reverse on the way back out after you've finished your holiday. The price for 6 days of parking was £47. It's about 4 minutes walk from the airport terminal, and it is far better value for money than the official long stay car park which Aberdeen Airport provides, where you need a bus to get to and from the car park. Now, for the number of days travelled, it's marginal as to whether it's worth parking your car in Aberdeen Airport or taking a taxi. From my house, a taxi costs just over £100, but from Aberdeen City, a taxi will cost just under £60 on a return basis. If you're worried about getting wet, I'd say about 50% of the walk to the terminal is undercover. Now, I've been in and out of Aberdeen Airport for the last 17 years. However, 2023 marks the first time that I've been back at the airport after a period of being away for the last 3 years. I'm sure many other people find themselves in this very similar situation. I'm quite impressed with how much Aberdeen Airport has improved over that period of time. It's now quite a pleasant experience to dine out at the departures lounge, and whilst going through duty free, there was one particular item that caught my attention. Right, I have to get this tonic caramel wafers. Okay. Yes, need to have that for the way. So after duty free comes food, and this is an excellent place to fill your stomach up before going on that flight. Now, I find the service here to be excellent. Last time I was here, I had my laptop out. I had to watch a 27-minute long induction video before going into a shipyard. And the waitresses here saw that this situation was utterly ridiculous, and they offered me a glass of wine. But I will caution you, you do have to eat all of your salad, otherwise you will be told off. I ate all of my salad this time round, and then we were ready to board our flight. Ready to go? Yes. Hello there. So our flight to Bergen was completely full up, and this in part was due to the Stavanger flight being cancelled and all the passengers being moved onto this one. The flight time was about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and that was perfectly routine. We were about 30 minutes delayed, but that's not such a big deal in this instance. Thank you, bye-bye. Right, here we are. Oh, very slippery. Welcome to Norway. Now, there was no queuing for passport control in Bergen Airport, but due to the number of stamps acquired in my passport since the beginning of the year, my passport control officer did give my passport a very long and suspicious stare indeed. Once we got through to baggage handling, we had a short delay before our bags were picked up, and then it was a very short walk from the airport terminal to the hotel, which was the Comfort Hotel just across the road from the airport terminal building. Right, 2 bags delivered. So you can get the train, it's just right here next to the terminal. It's a light rail train going into Bergen airport. But we're heading off to the hotel now, so we go this way and we turn right. Okay, so here's the airport terminal, and just through here we get to the Comfort Hotel. Oh, very nice. Right, so let's see where my room is. It's like a bit of a maze here. Ah, there it is. Right, let's get in here. It's all right. It's very modern, very good indeed. Well, one of the things about modern Norwegian hotels that's sorely lacking is that there is no kettle in the room. So you can't make any hot drinks, which is a bit of a shame. But in all other respects, the room's perfectly modern and perfectly fine. We had our breakfast at 6 o'clock the following morning. The selections are very good at this hotel. We've got a selection of cold foods, lots of fillings for your sandwiches, and also a good selection of hot foods as well. We were straight out of the hotel and straight back into the airport. I do like the architecture of the new Bergen airport terminal. It's quite nice. Right, let's go over here. Now, check-in is quite a different affair to Aberdeen Airport. You just print your own bag tag and then you scan it at one of the self-service counters. It's very much the Norwegian way of doing things, where you don't have any people involved with some of the more mundane and routine aspects of customer service. One of the advantages with flying out the night before in Aberdeen is that you're not wasting any time after you finish work. And that gives you an extra half day to enjoy your holiday. And that's very valuable indeed. So our flight today was on board an Embraer 190 E2 aircraft. It's a very modern aircraft. One of the things you'll notice about this aircraft is how big the engines are compared to the earlier generation of aircrafts. They're almost as big as the cross-sectional area of the fuselage themselves. Well, here I am on the flight to Tromso from Bergen, and it's going to be lovely weather in Bergen, about -9 this morning coming out the hotel, and it's going to be quite showery in Tromso, probably about -5, but with heavy snow showers all day long. So it's going to be interesting flight this morning. Now, this journey was about 2 hours from Bergen up to Tromso, and our tickets for both of us were about £750 for 2 adults on a return basis from Aberdeen. One of the things I found was that I couldn't book the evening flight with an overnight stay at a hotel on the Widerøe website. But if you go onto booking.com, you will find this option available at a cheaper price than booking these legs separately on the Widerøe website. So how was the view coming out of Bergen?
It was good, but I couldn't see anything because I had the sun in my face.
Yes, I was sitting on the other seat. It's not a full flight, so that was very good. The flight was indeed less than half full, and it's a stark contrast to the full flight that we had on the rather cramped Dash 8 Q400 the night before. Okay, so one of the things you get on Widerøe flights, you get onboard Wi-Fi. But this isn't Wi-Fi to the internet, this is just local internet service. So one of the things you can have is a moving map on your iPad. So have a look here. We can see we're just west of Trondheim. So that's a very nice feature. There are other things you can have locally on your Wi-Fi here. If we go back to here, we've got entertainment. There's a few movies, TV shows, not much, but it's very handy to have on your iPad here. Later on in the flight, the cloud thickened up and our view of the land underneath was completely obscured. It was only very late in the flight on final approach that we broke through the cloud, and what we were presented with was a complete and utter winter wonderland. Thank you, bye-bye. Well, seeing all the snow coming in to land, it's going to be very interesting to see what the roads are like to drive on once I pick up the hire car. Tromso Airport is a busy airport, but it's quite compact. We were picking up our baggage within about 5 minutes of getting off the plane, and we were then heading out straight to the hire car. Once we got to the hire car, it was a brand new adventure for me. There you go. No. So what I'm going to do is use Google Maps. We're going to go to the Polar Museum. So that is Polaria. So Polar Museum, we'll just do directions. And then we'll do start. Okay, and then drive. So we just do that. So now we're in drive mode. God, everything is just so white. So this vehicle is a Volkswagen ID.3 electric car. I hired it from Hertz, and this is going to be the subject of a separate video entirely. But in this video, I'm going to concentrate on the holiday that me and Rachel enjoyed. So 70 kilometers an hour speed limit, so we just... Yeah, it's coming down, so it's fine. Oh, I don't know what it said there. I think we're going this way.
Continue straight onto Filtway 862.
Now we're going into a big tunnel, and this is...
No snow.
Yeah, and this is a big tunnel that goes underneath the...
Bridge.
No, it goes underneath the whole town.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, have a look. So this goes right underneath Tromso. It's great. So the tunnel from the airport to the city centre splits in three with an underground roundabout in the middle. The first exit from the airport will take you to the southern entrance, and that gets you right into the car park next to the Polaria Museum, our next destination. Right, so here's the Polar Museum. Let's go and take a look. Hello. I'm just filming for YouTube. Is that okay? Can we have admission for 2 adults, please?
Yes, then it will be 440 kroner.
440 kroner, okay.
You can just pay there.
Perfect. The Polaria Museum is on the southern end of the city centre. Now, the general theme of the Polaria Museum is that it is hosting many different specimens of Arctic maritime wildlife. The chief highlight of the museum is a pool which is home to 4 seals. There is a glass tunnel going underneath this swimming pool, and there are various viewing points underneath the water where you can observe the seals in their underwater environment. Now, underneath the swimming pool, there's also a series of other exhibits, many live specimens, including a variety of fish and sea urchins. We also have an auditorium, and there are a selection of showings at that auditorium. You can leave the Polaria Museum anytime you want and return, so long as you keep your ticket. And generally speaking, you will find that the feeding times for the seals is very busy time for the Polaria Museum. In between snow showers, we went for a walk along the waterfront, and it wasn't too long before we were hit with another blizzard. What we found was that heated pavement areas
were also a favourite spot for lots and lots of pigeons. So after the museum, we dived back into the tunnels to emerge on the north side of the city centre. We then took the bridge across to the mainland of Norway. And on the other side of the bridge, we have the Arctic Cathedral. This is built in the year 1970, and it's quite a striking piece of architecture.
So walking on this kind of ground, it's all compacted snow. It's not slippery at all with my trainers on. No need for any spikes in this situation. So it's not too bad. But yeah, it's been quite heavy, frequent snow showers, but yeah, everything seems to work. And yet 2 days ago in Aberdeen, you just had a few centimetres of snow and everything just didn't work. But yeah, this is how normal life looks in the Arctic in terms of disruption. None whatsoever. Okay, so here is the entrance. It's a big old place, that's for sure. Built in 1970, I think. So it's quite a classic contemporary design. It will probably still look very good in another 150 years, no doubt. £70 to get in. So if you go into the basement, you've got a small pictorial exhibition. This is the original design for the Arctic Cathedral, and the drawing dates back to 1957. And then here you've got a revised architect's drawing. I think it's an architect's drawing. Date is 1967. And then the bridge going onto the Tromso island, photographs of that, but there are no dates here. And then you can see the scaffold for the cathedral being erected. So it's all fascinating here.
After the Arctic Cathedral, we headed down on Highway E8 down to Nordkjosbotn. The conditions on the road were frequent blizzard conditions, and it was quite often that the road was completely white. You couldn't see the edges of the road, but despite that, we were driving at many times the British Facebook speed limit for snow and ice conditions. This is around 80 to 90 kilometres an hour, but despite that, we still found that the bus drivers were eager to get past us, ever in a hurry to get to the next destination.
So we are now coming up to Nordkjosbotn. This is the place. Okay, and then we'll just skidded that.
What's Centrum in Norway?
That's Central.
Central, is it?
Yeah. There we are. So hotels on the left. And then I had a look on Google Street View to see where
Turn
the
left to stay on Torveien, then you're
there.
Torveien, then turn right to stay on Torveien.
right, there we go.
Driving's not getting any better.
No. Right, how do you put let's just turn that off. Right. Okay, so where I'm staying is Vollan Gjestestue, so that's where I'm charging. And I'm staying in this hotel. Okay, so here we are coming into the hotel. Hello. Just doing a bit of YouTubing. Okay, here we are. Hotel room. Let's see that this works. Yes. I'm still doing it. Hello. Right. Hotel room. Very nice. Right, so this is how much snow has had. We've had about 15 centimetres of snow overnight. I prepared the car in terms of brushing snow off, but there's even more snow since I brushed that off. But the snowplow has been here, which has been very helpful. They were coming along at breakfast time. Right, so here we are. Just a little bit of snow extra. And this is the first time I've seen blue skies. you can start to see some of the mountains here. One thing to note is that overnight all of the melty stuff at the bottom of the floor mats has turned to ice, which is a bit slidey. What's the temperature now? -7 degrees. So where we are off to today, we are off to do some reindeer sleigh riding. We go to a place called Bergen, and then we turn right, and then we follow a road which goes to a ferry to Lyngen. Gonna have to say, this is absolutely amazing.
Stunning. Look at that one over there. Looks like
Yeah.
looks stunning.
Look at it. This is why I came up here to go on holiday in March.
There's a wildlife pass.
Yes, and that is a wildlife pass
Yeah.
as well. Okay, well it's now -15 degrees. As soon as you get away from the fjords, it gets a bit colder. So we're still on the E8. We'll be turning right at Fagernes, which hopefully won't be too long. And yeah, it's absolutely. I'm just amazed. If you have a look at the roadside, you'll see the depth of the snow. The reported depth in various parts of Troms is about 150 to 170 centimeters, just depending exactly on where you are. Here we're just on a small inland stretch on the E8, and it just drops away the temperature so much. You know, this is probably 2 meters on the side of the road here. So now we're on the road going to Breivikseidet and Lyngseidet. So Lyngseidet is on the other side of a fjord, but we're going to Breivikseidet now, and it's a smaller road, so I have to just take it a bit more easy. One of the things you can see is that when the light goes flat like it is, it's quite difficult to see the edge. When it's nice and sunny, it's quite easy. Now obviously yesterday when there was lots of snow, it was very difficult in car parks, reversing into parking spaces and trying not to reverse into a snowdrift. The depth of the snow is, I'd reckon, more than 2 meters here. It's phenomenal how deep the snow is, and yeah, the mountain on the left, that's a mountain I climbed about 11 years ago, but right up ahead you can see the mountains of the Lyngen Peninsula. They are very spectacular hills indeed. We're going to get closer to them after our reindeer tour, but yeah, this road's nice and quiet. I very much enjoy driving on it, that's for sure.
My general observation was that we were the only people that arrived by car that day. Maybe 0.5% of all visitors to these reindeer sleigh ride places will arrive by car.
Right.
The vast majority of all tourists will arrive by bus, and that is what they are geared up to dealing with. Buses will typically pick you up from Tromso city centre at one of the major hotels and bus you in to these locations.
Hello. Oh, just saying hello to the reindeer next to me.
That was a fun start, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
The prices were about 1,600 krona for one adult, and for that you get a reindeer sleigh ride, and you also get the opportunity to feed the reindeer, as well as going into a yurt where you get an introduction to Sami culture and Sami living.
Enjoying it, Rachel?
Yes, it's very good. The reindeer are very cute.
Yes. There you go, Rachel.
Thank you.
So, deal is we're supposed to carry these on our shoulders. Oh, hello.
Following on from the sleigh ride, we were guided towards the main enclosure where the reindeer are kept. We're each given a bucket and we went into the enclosure, and we had strict instructions on what to do in terms of controlling the reindeer and making sure that we didn't get pinned down or jumped on by the reindeer. But when I turned around, I found that Rachel was pinned against the fence.
I'm getting mugged. I'm getting mugged. I'm getting mugged. Oh. Hey, oh, oh. Juliet. Oh. Flippin' heck, I'm getting mugged. This dog is a mugger.
So now we've arrived onto the ferry to Lyngen Peninsula. You can see up here that we have got a ferry. It's in about 25 minutes time. And the next ferry is, they're every 50 minutes approximately speaking. I mean, look at that. Lyngen Peninsula is home to the Lyngen Alps, and it's a really magnificent place indeed. So we're going to be going to Svensbu, which is over in that direction. And the Lyngen Alps are really spectacular. The highest mountain is called Gjestestue. It's about 1,800 ish meters, and it's a fascinating place. Now, one thing I've noticed here, what is this? I'm just wondering, it's probably something to do with a link span. It looks like counterweights or something, but I'm just wondering if this could be an electric ferry. It'll be interesting to find out. So when we're out reindeer sleighing, one of the things we noticed was a helicopter above this mountain here, and it was dropping things off, and what they were doing were controlled avalanches. They were dropping a payload off and then detonating it remotely. So it's quite fascinating to see what goes on in Norwegian life, especially mountain Norwegian life. Right, so we're on the ferry now. We'll just go on this way. Looks like a small area for waiting, I suppose. Let's go up this way. I think this is the first ferry I've been on where there's ice on deck. Okay, so that's crew members only. So there's one place to wait if you want to wait. I think, oh yes, there's a waiting area on the other side as well. Why go inside when you can look at this lovely scenery? Look at this. This is amazing. I mean, those mountains are just something else. Well, certainly no problem at this time of the year with ferries being full. Right, on our way. Yes. Quite a few more people.
That'll be all the people from the bus, I think.
Now turn right.
Okay, let's turn right here. Welcome to Lyngen. So this is Lyngseidet, and it's absolutely fascinating. Just the backdrop of the Lyngen Alps, just towering above. I just think this place is absolutely astonishing. Oh, good morning. It's the next day, and we are driving up the E8/E6 towards a valley called Tamokdalen. We're going to be doing some husky sledding up here, so that's going to be something a bit more active compared to reindeer sleigh rides. You actually have to do a bit of mushing. So that's going to be quite fun, I think. So here we've got the main road, and we turn off, we get to Camp Tamuk. So here's the road, and here's the snow. You can see that it's not just heaped up on the side of the road, it is genuinely that deep, the snow beyond the road. It's really, it's very deep indeed. And here's a size comparison in terms of the depth of the snow. So Rachel, we're now dressed up in our suits for husky sledding.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Jacob and we're going together today. And before we go, I give you instruction about how to drive the sled. You go with this thing on the end there.
The most distant one?
Yeah, that last there.
Okay.
I forgot my jacket.
Okay. Hello. Hey, nice to see you. Hello. Oh, nice to see you. Okay, so here we are, husky driving. So I'm the driver. So I've taken everything from the briefing. So we're going downhill a bit. So we're going to have to pick up speed a bit. I'm just going to step on the brake a little bit. Okay, that'll do. This is quite fun. Yes, we're going downhill. These dogs really love it, I have to say. Oh, this is good fun. I love it. So this is our dog team. Nice to see you. You do a good job there. Yes. How are you? What's your name? Yes. Hello. Hello. I know. You were very lovely leader dogs, weren't you? We didn't fall off at all.
Thank you so much.
Good guys, aren't you?
Yeah. You know, I thought it was one of the. I thought it was really fun doing husky rides here.
Sledding, yeah.
And you know, the thing about it is that I was the musher, and I don't know what it's like in Aviemore when you do the husky rides there, assuming they still operate. But I get the impression that someone else is a musher on British husky tours. But you know,
Yeah.
this I think is the proper way to do husky tours, and I definitely.
Scenery.
I definitely thought this was one of my. This is the favourite day so far.
Yes.
For this.
Yes. No, it was amazing. The huskies are so cute, really sweet, and yes, I was the passenger.
Yes.
Anthony's driving or mushing was pretty good, but there was a few.
You never fell off.
I didn't fall off. However, there was a few close things where I nearly got a tree in my face.
Oh yeah. The
Things like that.
what the dogs will do, they'll keep on the track, but the sleigh will.
Go into the trees.
It will pull into the corner and it'll
Yeah.
cut the corner.
Yeah, but as
And-
Anthony said, he did pretty good. You know, the two other people who were doing the huskies,
They fell off.
they all fell off. I don't know, was it the passengers or no? The man fell off, didn't he?
I'm
The
not,
musher
yeah, one of the men. I think one of the mushers actually fell off,
Yeah.
which you know, that leads to a runaway dog.
Runaway dog team.
Because they don't know how to stop these dogs, they just know how to run forwards and follow the
Yeah.
next ones. So
So yeah, at least we didn't have that, but yeah, no, it was really good.
Yeah.
And I think Anthony needed my assistance because I kept on telling him, and the man was saying, "You're not got to go fast down the hills." So I had to keep on reminding Anthony to start using the brake.
I kind of knew how to use the brake anyway, but
Yeah.
you just got a bit too nervous, I think.
Well,
Yes.
I didn't want the doggies going into the other sleigh and getting hurt.
Yeah.
That was the important thing. But they were very, very lovely.
Yes.
And there was a really cute one, black one called Oslo. He was very cute.
Yeah,
And
there's another one called Border.
Yeah, and our team only had
5 dogs.
5 dogs, but a lot of them were quite a few with puppies, weren't they?
Yeah, I think the eldest ones at the front were all 1 year old. So
So we had quite a young team, and the man said when there was the accidents with our people falling off and things, he told us to be very careful because they were young dogs, so they weren't experienced. So.
yes,
But no, it was amazing.
yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah.
Here we are. We're on the E6 and E8 route. We're heading up the the east side of Lyngsfjord. Plan is to get to Finland. We are heading for the Finnish border, and only reason to go here is because I've never been to Finland before, and the idea I've got in my head is that we can just leave the car on the Norwegian side, just put one foot in the border, and then I can say I've been to Finland. And it's a lot less mountainous on this side of Norway. Once you've risen out from the Lyngen Lyngsfjord, it's a very genteel terrain. Now that we're about 6 kilometers away from the border, the snow depth is starting to creep up again, and it wasn't terribly deep around the fjord at all. But it's very pretty. Well, here we are at the border with Finland, and it seems to be very well walked, this route. You're going to step across, Rachel. Very good. Yes. Let's go to Finland. Woohoo! I'm in Finland. I suppose that's a box ticked, isn't it? Another country visited, sort of. Looks just like Norway, in a manner of speaking.
Breakfast at the hotel is in the form of a self-service buffet, which is fairly typical for Norwegian hotels. Plenty of cold foods and a selection of hot foods. What I would recommend you do is to eat as much as you can. Food is expensive in Norway, and what my strategy is to have a massive breakfast and then a much smaller lunch.
Right, so we are heading to a place called the Polar Park. It's the most northerly wildlife centre in the world. It's kind of similar in nature to the Highland Wildlife Park in Kinusey in Scotland, and it's a bit of a longer drive. It's about 120 kilometres from our hotel, but we're driving along the E6 for the vast majority of the distance, and we've had a bit of overnight snow, and everything's looking very pretty again. So we are now in Bardufoss, and on the left we've got this rather pointy mountain. It's called Easttind. I haven't climbed it, but I have been to Bardufoss doing some hiking about 16 years ago, and Bardufoss, Easttind was one of the mountains I considered climbing, but elected against doing so simply because the exit routes were too steep from the mountain. But it is a very scenic area, but it's also got lots of military activity. Bardufoss is a destination which isn't well known amongst tourists. But it is very well known amongst soldiers. Well, here we are at the Polar Park. So there aren't too many visitors here, but we're going to go in and take a look.
So while the Polaria Museum in Tromso was focused on marine-based Arctic animals, the Polar Park is focused on land-based Arctic animals. In particular, we have got moose, wolves, bears, lynx, muskox, reindeer, and also red deer. During the morning, we found that the Polar Park was very quiet, both in terms of animal activity and in terms of visitor numbers. Now, if you are patient, eventually you will find most of these animals. But if you want to wait a little bit longer, you can always go with the guided tour, and that is their set feeding time. So they, generally speaking, emerge during that period of time.
So this is our last morning in the Vollan Gjestestue, and it's a glorious morning. It's the best one we've had so far this trip, but we're heading back to Tromso. Now, just for fact, that peak just there is called Rakel. So Rachel here wants to come back and climb it.
For sure.
Well, we had to just stop at the resting stop. Look at this view here. This is Balsfjord. That's looking west. That's looking across. And that's looking north. I just think this is just absolute. This is the reason why I came to Norway. So we are approaching Tromso now. We're on the east side of the fjord, and if you look out to the west, we see some more mountains. We've not got round to exploring those that region, but that'll be something for another day. We're going to have a morning of sightseeing in Tromso, and then drop off the hire car about lunchtime.
Now, a top tip for anyone visiting Tromso in March, bring some sunglasses. I left mine in the car and I really do regret it. The strength of the sun plus all of the snow around really does make it very harsh indeed for your eyes. But what you'll find is that Tromso city centre is a very walkable city centre. You can leave your car outside the city centre. There's plenty of parking available on a pay and display basis. But once you get into Tromso, there's lots to see in the short time that we had in the morning before we headed back to the airport.
Yes, always watch out for falling objects before entering buildings or walking alongside the edge of buildings. Lots and lots and lots of sweets in this one. So this is a place for your savings if you live in Tromso. Okay, here we have Tromso Cathedral, not to be confused with the Arctic Cathedral. So unfortunately we don't have time for this. This is I think this is it Culture Museum? I think it is.
Exhibition, makerspace, design
Yep.
shop and a cafe.
So it's a very nice building.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Well, from the tourist information area, this is a much better viewpoint for the ferry. So this is where the Nordkjosbotn will be docking. Oh look, there's a cruise boat already. So for those people who have smaller boats, this is the more traditional harbour you go to. But the frontage is being redeveloped, of course, but this looks very pretty. Roald Amundsen. So now we're at the northern end of the harbour, and what we have is Tromsdalstind. I think it's Tromsdalstind, It's about 1,250 meters. I climbed it about 11 years ago, part of a 1-week hiking trip. So I've got a lot of fondness for the mountain. Unfortunately, it was completely covered in cloud when I climbed it.
Sadly, it was time to leave the city centre. We drove back into the tunnels and dropped our hire car off at the airport. Our flight back was on time and we had an absolutely glorious takeoff on our way back to Bergen. Once we arrived in Bergen, we had the back end of a rain front which had come through, and then we were on our way back to Aberdeen. Sadly, I was asked not to film on the flight back to Aberdeen, and that was rather disappointing, I have to say.
Our bags collected, so now it's back to our homes.
Back home.
Yes.
And Anthony's away to get organised to fly at 8 o'clock tomorrow.
Yes.
Rather him
But
than me.
back to Bergen again.
Back to Bergen again.
And then onwards to Tonsberg. Well, car, sweet car. Time to get some luggage in and let's get back home. Well, back home, and that has been a thoroughly enjoyable trip for myself. And for Rachel, it was her first time to Norway, and it's been an excellent introduction. Hiring a car is a very good way of just going out and exploring parts of Norway that you wouldn't otherwise explore if you were part of a bus excursion out of Tromso. Now, this is certainly not my first time in Norway. I work for a Norwegian employer. I go there a lot. Indeed, I'm going there tomorrow. 18 years ago, I co-authored a book that was published in 2006. This is the book here, Walks and Scrambles in Norway. It's out of print. You can't buy it in any shops. If you can buy it in a shop, it's generally speaking a very expensive price. All of the information in relation to the hikes is still very much current and relevant. There may be some differences in terms of glaciers, but I was one of the major contributors to that book. I did a lot of hikes, backpacking trips in places such as Narvik and Border, and Bardufoss and Tromsø, and that was something which stays in my memory, and that memory is immortalised in this book. Now, if you want to buy a book, it will cost £25. You can make a comment. We can try and make an arrangement for payment and shipping. Now, if you're wanting this book, I can't ship immediately. Of course, I'm away on business quite a lot, but I've got one other question for you guys. Since I am traveling away on business, one of the thoughts I've had is to do some more travel style documentaries. I didn't like the experience I had on the flight back to Aberdeen where I was told to switch off my camera. That wasn't particularly encouraging. Some other YouTubers have also suffered this in the past. But if you are interested in that kind of video from me, then I'll try and make some discreet arrangements with my camera so I can show off the experience of traveling. I have got a sister video to this, which is specifically about renting an electric car in Norway and driving it. Be sure to check that video out. It'll be coming out at a very similar time to this video. But in the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I'll talk to you again very soon.